Why, hello, hello, hello. Top of the morning to you. And let me get to the thing, the reason you're all freaking here. Let's get it going. Chat. Initiate the gambling. Cool. Thanks. Oh, it's a good old Friday. Hope you guys are doing well, man. We actually have a couple of really cool things to talk about today. The strikes may be over or may be over anytime. It could happen on the stream. It could legitimately happen while we are live. Look at all that. I look over at chat. Oh my God. I look over at chat and I just see you guys gambling, gambling, gambling. Holy shit. Oh my God. Here's what I'll do. Let me drop some coin for you guys too. Let me drop some coinage. Let's do 3,000 nerd coin because I love you, 3,000. There you go. Boom. There you go. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the strikes, kind of where we're at with it. Cause like, you know, look, thank God, man. Like this shit needs to end. I know people feel differently about it. I've always I think it's so weird how political it got, you know what I mean, and how it seems like if you are like conservative or whatever, you have to be like, yo, fuck these writers, and if you're liberal or whatever, you obviously have to be I'm all about it. I think that's silly, and I think it's more like an industry turning point, and things are changing, and the writers and the actors need to be able to use the leverage while they have it, because I think they have diminishing leverage. You know, looking ahead at just with what's going on, the way the industry's changing, and things of that nature. So either way, this is sort of a pivotal moment. I'm really curious to see what's going to actually happen with it, how it's going to shake out. But for us kind of normie people, for us people that aren't in the industry or whatever, you know, just want it to be over. And just want to get back to producing all this stuff that we love so that we can nerd out about it. I guess in some way, I do work in the industry. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think I work in the industry or not? I mean, I'm kind of not. I'm not really like affiliated or whatever. But I guess I do talk about their shit, a lot of their stuff. I'm gonna try also too. ADD moment of the day. I'm trying to swear less. We'll see how that goes. I'm trying to swear less. You know, like honestly, guys, this is just my casual cadence. I really talk to you guys in the same way that I would just kind of kick it with the homies, and so I tend to speak rather flagrantly. But I'm trying. Is it hot in here? Yeah, all of a sudden. I was like chilling, and all of a sudden I put on all these lights and everything. And yeah, I'm hot as balls again, so I might have to plug in this fan in a second here. But why? I mean, look, at the end of the day, even though I don't really care, you know what I mean? Like the content I consume or, you know, whatever, I don't really care at all. And I obviously don't care much about, you know, people swearing in general. But I think just thinking of other people just feel differently about it, and I think that there is something to be said for the inaccessibility of maybe these streams or the content, because I'm always wilding out and calling you guys mother truckers and stuff. So just a thought. We'll see. This might last like a week. I think we've tried this before, right? We've tried this before where I was not going to swear, and I messed it up. Okay, so we'll see how we do here. Also, I'm putting on the fan. Holy crap-oli. See, we're gonna have to come up with like cool alternatives to me swearing. I think holy crap-oli. Pretty good one. It's so fucking hot. Anyway, I'm prepared. We're professional here. Shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Okay. So we got stuff to talk about. We got stuff to talk about. I want to talk about the strikes a little bit, just see where we're at with it again. I just want it to be over. Oh, you never answered me. You guys never answered me, or maybe I didn't look at chat. Do I work in the industry or not? Let's go to the polls. I got to know what you guys think. Does Josh work in the industry? And I guess like I don't know what you would even call it, like film industry, entertainment industry, maybe. Oh, shit. I needed that. Okay. As a shill, yes. I know, right? Some people out there are like, of course you do. You're taking those shill checks. Of course you do. You goddamn shill. The sex industry, yes. That is not me. And no comment about that. No comment. That's not me. That's my twin clone long lost brother. But he has good looking feet. I'll say that. Josh works for Disney. For Disney. Oh, that's interesting. So like 60% of you guys say no. I work in the industry, Kendall. Dude, don't tell people that, Adam. Then they'll figure out you're my super secret source for all of the Disney stuff and they'll come after you. I'm actually kidding. Adam doesn't tell me anything. But now they're after you, bro. You see? You did that to yourself. Define the industry. It's what super pretentious people say when they're at the coffee shop or when they're, you know, meeting the family at a holiday or if they're on fucking Tinder or whatever. Like, it's that cringy, like, I'm in the industry. That's what I'm talking about. Ah, damn it, I did it again. No! See? If I'm not thinking about it, I just start... Ah! Ah! Okay, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough transition, but we're going to try. We're going to try. Okay? All right, so let's talk about the strikes a little bit, guys. So yesterday... Well, actually, let's take it all the way back to Wednesday. So Wednesday, they met again. This was after a month. I think they had a month of silence because Bob Iger was like really butthurt about something they said, and he was like, we're not meeting them for a month or so. I don't know if that's actually what happened. I'm like, this is how you know I'm definitely not in the industry, okay? That's my interpretation of it. Bob Iger was like, I can't believe they said that about me. I'm the sweater-wearing grandpa motherfucker. What are they doing? My image. I was going to be president. This goddamn company, Bob Chapek. Okay, so anyway. We're doing great today, guys. We're doing great. So they didn't meet for like a month. They came back to the table on Wednesday, and as opposed to a lot of the negotiations, the actual CEOs showed up for the negotiations, which is a really good sign. Or maybe that happened on Thursday. Chat, help me out here so I don't look even more stupid. I don't remember if the CEO showed up on Wednesday or if they showed up on Thursday. I know for sure they showed up yesterday. I know for sure they did. I believe they also showed up on Wednesday. Yeah. So they all show up. That's a really good sign. That's like a sign of like, clear my schedule of all the other bullcrap I've got to do. Which, I don't know why it took them that long to figure that out, but you know, it is what it is. And then they go there. And they negotiate, and there were a lot of positive buzz on Wednesday. They stayed pretty late, and they agreed to come back to the bargaining table the following day. Super good sign, the best sign we've had in a long time. And yesterday, man, they were negotiating like as I was going to bed. Like they just stayed in there, and they were just kind of trying to iron out the minutia of some of these deals. Now, as an example of some of the deals that were going on, the writers want a minimum amount of writers or staff writers per show or movie. But really, it's a lot about streaming. So I think a lot of this has to do with shows. They wanted to have a minimum amount of writers on a said project, and I think there's a lot of different reasons why. AI is obviously one consideration. AI replacing some of those writers or some of those things, but there was also this thing that the studios were doing because, look, it just is what it is. Human beings are always going to take advantage of whatever system. This is why unions and negotiating is important because, you know, the system we have, the sort of free market capitalism, what it's supposed to be, right? It's all about checks and balances, and it's supposed to actually democratize ideas, services, etc. When that's working at its best, it can sometimes look, super exploitative and like weird, but that's what it is. These guys have to strike and use their leverage. They have to use the leverage they have to not provide their labor, to stop profits in production in order to argue for more fair shit going forward, right? So the point is, the studios, from what I understand, came back and said, well, we're not going to do a minimum for each show. But what we could do is we could make that decision up to the showrunner, so that essentially one of your guild members, would be in charge of that decision instead of it being up to, let's say, completely the corporations. But one thing I was going to say, I jumped ahead. The corporations would do this thing, the studios would do this thing where they would hire in like a really small team of writers to sort of work an idea before it even went to like go get like actual writers. I forget what it's called. There's a name for it. Some kind of room. And the whole idea here was this was basically just done so they didn't have to credit those people, right? And this just allowed them to sort of use the labor of actual writers outside of the regular system of assembling a full writer's room in order to not have to pay them what would be owed to them because of if you're a writer, you have rights, etc., blah blah blah, right? So a lot of it's sort of cutting through all that bullshit and minutia. And like, I'm sure the writers, I hope the writers would come back and be like, yeah, but Disney in particular doesn't even have showrunners. So who gets to make is it the head writer then? Like, who makes that decision? But that's what yesterday and Wednesday were about. When it comes to royalties, not a lot of people know the numbers that these shows do. And the royalties are obviously very low because the streaming thing is usually just a licensing fee. It's not like a full-on royalties situation. So you get much less when your show goes to Netflix or HBO Max, Disney Plus, etc. So I believe the studios are like, well, we're not going to give you royalties for everything, but what we can do is if a show is a hit, if it goes over 2.5 million views an episode or something, like, we will give royalties for that, which I think is fair because there's this thing in business like the 80-20 rule, which is like 20% of your output makes like 80% of your income. And what that means is, like, if you break it down the restaurant way, because this is just where my background is, like, before YouTube and stuff. So, like, if you got an Italian restaurant, like, 80% of your profits are coming from 20% of your menu. It's like chicken parm, spaghetti, lasagna, etc. But you also have your higher end items and you got other things to attract just clientele and continue to kind of push the revenue in. But the point is, if they were to give royalties to every single show, then these 80% shows that they're already losing money on would be losing more money because of royalties. Do you see what I mean? So it's like they're saying, we could do that, but it's got to be a hit. Okay? And all of this, everything I'm saying, take it with a grain of salt. I'm just a dude on the internet that was reading shit and trying to kind of make sense of it. But that's my understanding of it, right? And I'm sure it'll change a little bit. Today, they appear to be meeting. I've heard that it could be over within hours. You know what I mean? It could be over within days, but it's definitely seemingly now actually moving in a good direction. So that's good. And I'm curious your thoughts, what you think, and we can talk about it a little bit more. But other than that, there's not much to discuss with it. The main takeaway is, like, seems like writers' strike probably going to end soon. And then it seems like the actors would then try to figure their stuff out. I don't know how long that would take. It feels like if the writers thing gets figured out, the actors thing would get figured out pretty quickly, because the whole idea here is like Hollywood, the executives, the studios, they're like, well, we need to get this over with. We need to get back to work. So hopefully it all happens relatively quickly in the next couple of weeks, and we get to having more shows and movies, which would be really interesting. I'm fascinated to know what's going to happen with the Steve Knight Star Wars movie, right? Because that's the Rey movie. They definitely wanted that to be out, and I think they've now pushed it to 2027, which is a little bit wild, but like that's a big question mark for me. I'm quite curious as to what that's gonna end up looking like when it's all said and done on that. You know what I mean? Okay, the next point of interest / order of business is talking about Ahsoka and these numbers here. Look out, folks! We just talked some numbers, and now we've got some more numbers. I love numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Numbers, numbers, numbers. Here we go. So several weeks ago, the Monday after the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka aired, Samba TV put out a report that, 1.2 million households watched Ahsoka in that 6-day stretch. I think they had it for Samba, okay? And 1.2 million, right? Like, not a good number. Doesn't seem good. Really bad, right? The following morning, Disney themselves, put out a press release. Initially said that Ahsoka had 15 million views, and then quickly corrected it and said, no, it's 14 million views. I still don't fully understand that. Like, what was the deal with that? But regardless, you had your 1.2 million and you had your 14 million. Okay. And we talked about this before. It's a little bit weird on both ends. The reality is both of those numbers are not real. Both of them are not real. Samba has about 20 million, maybe a little bit more TVs in the country that plug into their network that they can see what the person is watching on TV. Okay? So they have a ratio that kind of indicates how popular shows are. And the best way to compare the Samba numbers is to the other Samba numbers. Okay? And when you did that, when you compared the Samba numbers, it appeared that Ahsoka was severely underperforming, at least from what I had expected it to do. And it was down there near Andor. And we all know Andor is the classic show that people get really loud about on Twitter, but nobody actually watched. Whatever. Okay? But as a person that actually likes real Star Wars and Ahsoka, I was like, damn, dude. My boy, look what they've done to my boy. Ahsoka's coming out to Andor numbers? What is happening here? This is crazy. But the following day, when the Disney numbers came out, I was like, that's really interesting. And the problem with the Disney numbers, and we talked about this before, but the problem with the Disney numbers is they're not accurate either. And they're not accurate, and they're like the first things that Disney's ever put out with these metrics. So unlike the Samba numbers, you can't really compare that 14 million number from Disney to anything. It makes no sense. And what we said then was we've got to wait for the Nielsen numbers, because number one point here, Nielsen is considered to have a better, more accurate metric than Samba. I think both of them are probably none of these numbers are the quote unquote real numbers. Okay. But I always say, because Samba comes out first, I always say you gotta wait for the Nielsen numbers. Those are the numbers that really matter. They're the kind of final stamp on how a show is performing. Okay? So, let's see what we have here. In the overall charts, we have Ahsoka debuting at number 5. 829 million minutes watched, okay? Now, at first, I mean, look, this, and let me just be clear here. These numbers for Ahsoka that we're about to talk about, as far as I understand it, they're not incredible. The Samba number, or the Nielsen numbers are not like, it's a smash hit. But it's way better than we thought. Like, way better than we thought. Oh, shit, you can't see this now? Okay. Okay. Yes, and Bluey, freaking Adam will probably cry if I don't mention that Bluey is a very popular show and legitimate entertainment, blah, 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 whatever. People like Bluey. Okay, so check this out. By the way, Suits apparently been just absolutely dominating. It's been crushing it since it got on Netflix. It has been destroying the streaming charts, and it's been kind of crushing it for a long time. Who is Aaron Carter? I got no idea who Aaron Carter is. No cap. Who the fuck is that? You know what I mean? But whatever, the show's doing great. About a third, a little under a third, or a little over a third of the dominance that Suits is doing. You know what I mean? But impressive numbers nonetheless. Bluey is maybe the most popular show on Disney Plus, real talk. And, a lot of people joked about this, but it's like, it's true. When Disney came out and said Ahsoka was the most streamed thing on the platform over the weekend, that just literally kind of means it was more popular than Bluey that weekend. Which you might be like, what? That seems bad. But I'm telling you, that's very good. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth hole. It's very good. Okay. Then you got your Grey's Anatomy, dude. Grey's Anatomy, all those angsty tweens and early 20s ladies that used to get the box DVD sets and watch this shit over and over again, they're doing the same thing just on Netflix now, okay? I'm not trying to be mean. It just is what it is. That they're doing it. Grey's Anatomy, killing the game, okay? Then you've got Ahsoka coming in at number 5. 2 episodes. 829 minutes combined. Okay. But here's where it gets a little more interesting. Wait, what? That's not the... What about the originals chart? I thought it was like number 2 on the originals. Damn it, Scott! Scott, you played me! Scott, I thought you had the details! Oh! Okay, chat, one moment. Just a moment. I can just pull up Nielsen, can I? Where's the chart? Where's the chart? Somebody send it to me. Audience measurements. Hey, there we go. Thanks, Adam. I know things. Yeah, here we go. In the original chart. Woo! Check it out. Let me do the thing. Haha. Okay. So look at this. Ahsoka came in at number 2 on the original charts. Dude, that's great. You know what I mean? That's great. Now, compare this to some of the other shows. And can I just search Andor on here? Like, is that a thing? Like, if I just search Andor. No, it doesn't look like it. I think there were people talking about the comparisons to Andor. I believe, and let me just double check this. I believe Andor had 3 episodes air and came in under that number by like 200,000, I believe, right? Andor week 1 Nielsen. Andor struggles. You don't say. Oh, no. These are parrot analytics. Okay, here we go. I got it. Where you at? Okay, yeah. So, this is it. Here we go. Okay. So, Andor right here premiered with 3 episodes, which were all long. If I remember correctly. You guys help me out. I think that Andor... Yeah, I should just call it Andor. Or Anbor. You know what I mean? How mad are you right now, chat? I haven't been checking in. Are you guys okay? Where are all the Andor fans? You guys good? 30 minutes apiece. So I thought that it was about an hour and 45 minutes total for the 3, if I remember correctly. So I think you've got 145. Somebody check me with that. 3 episodes, 624 million minutes watched. Now that, I want to just try to explain this because there are people suggesting that the Nielsen numbers are saying that this was performing at the level of Andor, and it's definitely not. The Samba numbers do indicate that. The Nielsen numbers do not. Let's be very clear. So 3 episodes coming in at 624. You don't even have to be a mad scientist rocket man to understand that that's about 200 and let's call it 208 million minutes per episode. Now, what this probably is, to be completely honest with you guys, and I don't know if we have those full numbers, but it's probably it's more like 400,000 tried it, maybe half fell off and then a third fell off for like 2 and 3 is probably what it is. Okay. So it's a pretty low number. Like I said this before, but like Andor really performed horribly. Like it performed like absolute dog doo-doo poo-poo time. Okay. When you look at Ahsoka came in at what's probably like 500,000 viewers and then held decently strong, losing probably 20-30% of the viewers going into episode 2. Now, they're saying that this is the second biggest opening since Kenobi, and it's certainly bigger than Mando season 3. I feel like Mando 2 and Kenobi are both probably higher than it. The only reason they might not be is well, no, actually, I think all 3 of the shows that I just mentioned did air 2 episodes. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So let me just explain, like, from my perspective, what this means and what's going on. This is not incredible. This is not great. We're not talking House of the Dragon. We're not talking even Rings of Power, which, you know, a lot of people hated that show. A lot of people watched that show. A lot of people watch Rings of Power, like, for sure. Now, a lot of those people stopped watching Rings of Power, but it is absolutely the case that a crap ton of people watched the first couple episodes of Rings of Power, okay? So what are we talking about here? We're talking about the fact that Ahsoka did better than Mando Season 3. That's an important distinction because my perspective on this was like, dude, Star Wars brand in bad shape. This not good. Josh mad. That was my take, verbatim, right? So that's not exactly what's happening. Ahsoka's Nielsen numbers to me prove that there were people that were burnt by some of these other shows that were still willing to check out Ahsoka. Here's the problem, though. As you guys know, I actually don't love the first 3 episodes of Ahsoka. I actually think the show should have started a little differently to capture more attention faster. Some of you guys don't feel that way. Some of you guys are like, I'm cool with the slow burn, dog. I get it. But for me, I was like, I didn't love it. And I think week 2 on Nielsen is actually going to look pretty bad. That's my prediction, is that in week 2, these Nielsen numbers are not going to look good. Because that's the 3rd episode. I personally think the 3rd episode, a lot of people kind of checked out. Okay? Now, here's the good news, though. I believe that episodes 4, 5, and probably 6, and let's be honest, probably just through to 8 at this point, because I've heard the last 2 episodes are absolute fire. It's going to pop. And it could end up being, when it's all said and done, one of the most watched Disney Plus shows ever. Because I can just speak personally here. I've rewatched these episodes a lot. Like, I've rewatched episode 6, I think 4 times. I love it. Okay? So, I think it's very possible that by the end of Ahsoka could be the most popular Disney Plus show, period. It will almost certainly be the most popular Star Wars show, period, because I think Kenobi did have a decent drop-off by the end, because that show was what it was. So, that's good news. You know, if you want Star Wars to succeed. Some of you guys are like, no, I hate it, you know, because you want it to crash and burn, and I get that. You're welcome here, too. But for those of us that want the show to be a success, and I think the main reason that we want it to be a success is that Dave's doing the thing, man. This is what we want from Star Wars. You know, a lot of us feel pretty strongly that this should be the direction they take. And it's like, in order to justify that, in order to make that sort of messaging clear to Lucasfilm, it has to be successful. Right? So this is good news. We're going to keep tracking it. We'll see what happens, you know, when we get into the next week. My prediction, again, is that week 2 will look a little bad, and then it'll look real good after that. So, yeah, we'll sort of wait and see, and we'll talk about it together. Is there any kind of, like, things you want to touch on with that real quick before we get into some of these other bits here? Because there's some cool stuff I want to talk about, too. And we'll, of course, do super chats and member chats and check out with the chat later on. Oh, by the way, I should say, guys, no call-ins today. I apologize. I got to get out of here. I got to get the survey out to the Kickstarter, folks, which, just real quick, if you are a Unity backer, the surveys are going out today. This is where we get, like, your shipping information, your shirt sizes, all that kind of stuff. If you're a collector, we're going to start working on the Discord. I should have the Discord up by next week, and we're going to have our first town hall with all the collectors on the Discord. And there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about with Unity, the process, and some of the things that I want to do with it. So check that out. You'll get that stuff in your email. It'll pop up in the Kickstarter, etc., etc. Good times ahead, baby. Good times ahead for that. But yeah, no call-ins today. I got a lot to do. I apologize. Did I mention the dope Star Wars video I'm dropping later or no? I don't think I did. So obviously, I think one of the most intriguing aspects of Ahsoka Episode 6 is, like, what is calling to Balin? It's all I've been thinking about. So, big video dropping this afternoon about that. And it's sweaty, man. It's sweaty. Grab a towel, because that one's going to get real sweaty nerdy, baby. So check that out later today. Okay. Here's a hint. It's not Abeloth. What? It is It is. I think. Now you just ruined my video. Thanks, Trev. Hopefully the Bendu. Yeah, there's a lot of options. Okay. So, a couple other things I want to talk about here. David Goyer. So the first thing that's kind of interesting is he was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast with Josh Horowitz. And I think at about 29 minutes is where I want to get into this. Oh, actually, does it have chapters? So if I click here, it does have chapters. Okay, I wanted to watch a little bit of this because he said some interesting stuff about his work on Man of Steel.
It was a third act problem. I don't remember exactly. I'd have to go back and look at my notes, but we were just stuck. We were blocked, and Chris said, okay, let's just take a week off and see if anything dislodges. And, you know, I was sitting in my home office and nothing was dislodging. And I went back and reread all, you know, a volume of the first Action Comics. And then I wrote maybe a 3-page outline for a Superman story. And we met with Chris and he said, did he crack? And I said, no, but I have an idea for a Superman movie. And he said, well, let's hear it, because we all procrastinate. And he said, that's pretty good. And he said, I would produce that if you want me to. Do you want to see if
I think he's talking about Nolan here.
I said, sure. And in the same meeting, he called up the head of Warner Brothers and said, Goyer has a pitch for Superman. We should do this. Can we come in and speak to you tomorrow? And we did. And then it was on. And then he was like, now you really have to figure out the problem with and write this other thing. But that was super surreal. Yeah.
Was there ever a moment where he was going to direct, or you would even throw yourself out there to direct?
No. Because he was still had to direct Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
And I was just not ready for, you know, I had never intended to go on and direct Blade 3, and I knew I wanted to direct again, but that I wouldn't have taken on a challenge like that yet. And so that's,
I didn't know did he direct Blade 3? Is that true?
TV, and I directed a lot of the Foundation episodes, and
Blade Trinity was kind of
things like that. But no,
not that great.
No way.
Blade 2 though.
And I promise, in case you're worried, we will get to Foundation. The problem is,
it's fine.
With your resume, damn it, David, you've done too much. I can't just gloss over Man
It's
of
all
Steel.
good. It's all good.
Okay. So, were you sold on Zach immediately as the right guy for that?
Yeah,
job?
were you?
Obviously,
answer carefully.
Can create visuals like no one else. Did he get it? Get the gist of what you were going for? Did you guys vibe immediately? Because obviously you worked together again on BVS, so that clearly was working.
He did. I mean, it was a very deliberative process. Chris met with, I want to say, about 5 directors, and it came down to Zach and another director, and it felt like Zach was the right call, and I think Zach was the right call, and it was really exciting that the fact that Zach wanted to shoot that movie handheld, which was I just thought a brilliant idea. What's interesting in the Elseworlds version of what should have been, but could have been, is Chris had also met with Tony Scott. So there's a version of a Tony Scott Man of Steel.
That's
in
crazy.
Some parallel universe.
That would be cool to see.
And I just think Tony Scott he doesn't get as much credit as he should be given, because he was a really phenomenal director as his brother. And that's just a movie I would have also loved to have seen.
Mm-hmm.
Was Tony into it? He was game?
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what was going on. I mean, he passed away relatively soon after that, but that just as a parallel Elseworld story, I think that would have been really interesting.
Were you guys, and I'm sure you're sick of talking about the killing of Zod, but were you surprised at what that became? Did you know in your heart of hearts, like, oh, this could touch a nerve with the fanboys and become like
really, Trev? I didn't know that. That's incredible.
I guess
I did not know that.
This was like, it just felt what's right for the story, and the idea that Superman doesn't kill is it's not canon in the comic books. I mean, it's this idea that came out late.
It's like the Silver Age thing. It became a part of his identity. In the Golden Age, that was never a thing. I mean, he literally kills Zod in the Golden Age. You know what I mean? But in the Silver Age, fans definitely got attached to that new version of Clark.
And it just felt the whole point of it was, this is a story about him becoming Superman and understanding the import of who and what he is and what it means to the world, and stumbling and grappling with this. And so and then having done that, deciding I have to make sure that just never happens again in any possible way. And so I think that people can debate whether or not we should have done it, but I felt for that story that we were telling, and Chris felt the same, so did Zach, that was the right way to go, which was a much more air quotes, realistic take on Superman.
Right.
You know, there's a scene I wrote that never made it into the movie.
Ooh, this is interesting. It's about hunting
Jonathan
deer.
Kent, in which Jonathan is taking Clark out hunting, and they kill a deer. Clark, I think he's like 12, fires, and he misses. So he doesn't miss. He hits the deer, but it's not a kill shot.
This literally happened to me too. I'll talk about this.
And his father has to finish the deer off, and it's and young Clark is incredibly shaken by it, and they have this conversation about the responsibility of taking a life. And I just felt we had to cut for time, also for budget, and I've always wished that scene could have made it in the movie, because I felt like that was also a bit of a tee up into
Right.
what happens
thematically what's going on. Totally.
Exactly.
Totally.
Yeah.
Are you, in retrospect, look, of course, then you collaborate on BVS, and a lot of the fans.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting things. So I know for some people they're like, "Oh, hunting horrible," you know, and all these different things. I totally get it, but you know, just some of us don't feel that way and weren't raised that way. And I had that experience. The first deer I ever killed, I like didn't hit it in the heart of the lung, and we had to track the blood trail, track it down, and do the same thing. And the thing that you learn, like the one thing that I learned about that was like, you need to be a good shot, and you need to like actually take your craft seriously, because you actually don't want that to happen again. You don't want that kind of suffering. But yeah, that would have been a cool scene, man, to see, because I think not only does it tee up the ending with Zod, but I think it also speaks a little bit more to like the, you know, Kansas good old boy kind of upbringing that Clark had, and some of the lessons that his father imparted on him. The scene on the freeway, I think, is like such an important and cool scene, and it moves me, but I think it's also one of those scenes that's like kind of hard to interpret. And therefore, like, people kind of just either don't appreciate it, or, you know, end up on the other side of it where they don't like it. But I think this kind of a scene with the deer hunting would have been a little bit more on the nose with like that kind of mentality and what that means. But I want to shift now, because there was another cool thing that happened in here. Well, he goes on to talk a little bit about how like Warner Brothers was like kind of screwing with them immediately and caused a lot of issues for Zach immediately, but we kind of all know about that. Let's touch on something a little more interesting, and that would be his potential Star Wars movie.
Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Star Trek. David Goyer, Godspeed with this entire franchise. You can do what you want with it. What do you think?
I wrote an unproduced Star Wars movie that Guillermo del Toro was going to direct.
Oh my
Stop
God!
That. Wait, David. I have 6 follow-ups.
Yeah. I have 6 follow-ups, dude, for sure. My God.
Yeah.
When? Well, tell me something.
That was about 4 years ago, and then I have
4 years ago. So that would have been right around the time that they were like taking pitches. Maybe even for sequel stuff or just stuff in general, right? So what's interesting about that is like around 4 years ago, I remember there were some really big names being floated around for some big Star Wars stuff. One of the ones that I heard was actually Peter Jackson, that there was something maybe going on with Peter Jackson behind the scenes at Lucasfilm. And I was like, oh, that would be fantastic, because I love Peter's work. I think that would be great. But Goyer and Del Toro together? Oh my God, bro. That is a crazy, crazy combination. That's super cool. Let's hear a little bit more.
I also wrote an unproduced. I have a scriptment for an Origins of the Jedi movie, also for Star Wars, that I wrote for them. That took place 25,000 years before.
So wait a goddamn minute. You're telling me that Goyer was working on a movie about the origin of the Jedi 25,000 years ago? So what does this seem like to you guys? Because to me, it kind of seems like they've been wanting to tell that story. They've been interested in going there for a while. You know, it's possible this could have been something they were going to explore with Taika. Maybe they still will. Definitely seems like the biblical epic that Mangold wanted to do. So it seems like this has been on their radar for some time. You know, because even the here's an interesting one. Do you remember the Dan and Dave stuff? That was all rumored to be Old Republic as well. It could very well have been Origin of the Jedi. The Dan and Dave movies, series of movies, could have been that same thing. So this could be, because they do that a lot. Remember, Kenobi was a movie that was a show that got rewritten into a different show. You know, Book of Boba Fett was a movie that became a show. You know? So I think this idea, going back, has been over there for a while. Like, did he get hired to write that script? It's interesting.
Or the first Star Wars film. So that would have been, I got to do the Vader Immortal VR thing, but dabbling.
Wait, he did Vader Immortal? Oh man, this just became a whole video. This just became a whole video. Hang on now. Because Vader Immortal actually has some sick lore, dude. Hold up. Wait a minute. That's crazy. That is crazy. This just became a video.
Star Wars, you know, would have been fun for me.
What happened?
You know,
Guillermo and Star Wars and you seems like a no-brainer to greenlight. What happened?
there was just a lot of behind.
Did you see that? Did you see that look? That's the I can't say Kathleen Kennedy because I'm not on my sock puppet account on Twitter look. Let's watch that again.
You know, would have been fun for me.
What happened?
You know,
Guillermo and Star Wars. And you seems like a no-brainer to greenlight. What happened?
it was just a lot.
Let's watch it again.
Guillermo and Star Wars and you seems like a no-brainer to greenlight. What happened?
There was just a lot of behind.
My man. Oh.
Stuff going on at Lucasfilm at the time, but
Guillermo and Star Wars and you seems like a no-brainer to greenlight. What happened?
there was just a lot of behind stuff going on at Lucasfilm at the time, but it's a cool script. You'll have you had Guillermo on the show? Yeah. You'll I should look that up. You have to ask him about that next time he's on. It's a cool script. There's a lot of cool artwork from it that was produced.
Worst secret in town. Kathleen Kennedy's not good at her job. I don't know if you guys had heard it, but it's like the worst kept secret in town. Just so you know.
Oh my God. All right, I'll pass you my info. You can feel free to send it over anytime you want, just for fun. David Goyer, as you can tell, I'm such a fan. I've watched your work. It's part of.
All right, cool. I thought that was a fun interview, man. And he touched on some really interesting stuff. So, number one, I think the Zach stuff. It's really interesting. I would have liked that scene. It's cool to just kind of be sort of taken back to that time where they're building it all. And Chris is obviously their guy after the Dark Knight stuff. And, they're finding, Zach and all that stuff. It's very, very interesting. So I thought that was cool. And then the Star Wars stuff, that's crazy. I actually did not know, or maybe I just didn't remember that he did Vader Immortal. That's amazing. That's significant, dude. And these scripts, these movies that he was working on, wow. Holy baloney. That would have been cool to see. So just kind of want to touch on that. Is there anything else before we get into Q&A? Anything else going on out there in the world? Did the strike end? Is it over? Is it over? Seems like it's not over yet. Okay. Okay, no worries. Let's get into the Q's and the A's, ladies and gentle beings. And then we're going to get on out of here. I appreciate you guys, though. Thanks for being here, as always. Taylor White says, with a 10 spot, thank you so much. On yesterday's Making Star Wars stream, Jason and Rob Sketchcraft were talking shit and mid-characterizing you with weak dumb points. Yeah, look, man, it's all good. I saw you guys talking a little bit about it in the Discord. There's no beef between me and Jason. I think at one time, Jason and I were way more close. We actually talked on the phone several times, and I've distanced myself from him a bit. I don't even think everything that's out there about him is true. That's not necessarily the whole reason why I distanced myself from him. He's a human, made some mistakes. Really don't have anything much more to say about it. I always try to give him credit for his scoops. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Toxic says, swear right now for $2. Hell nah, bruh. Tiberius Monk says, congratulations, Josh, on your successful Unity Kickstarter. Also, happy to see Star Wars get weird and exciting again in Ahsoka. Best Star Wars since Mando Season 2. Yeah, I absolutely agree. This is I'm having that's a good way to say it. I'm having that same level of fun that I was during Ahsoka Season 2. You know what I mean? So I feel very much back as a Star Wars fan. I think the problem is once these last 2 episodes of Ahsoka air, we are in a drought and we're also in limbo because I just don't know that some of the other things they have in production are going to hit the way Ahsoka hits for me. We'll just see. It's like, all right. But I appreciate the support, man. Thank you so much. Tracer says, hey, Josh, finally made it to a live once again. Ahsoka is so good, but your theories are a little too spot on. Wait, what? You don't say that. Also, watch the theory video later today about Abeloth, and I wonder if you guys think that, if you'll believe that, because, look, I didn't want to believe it. Abeloth is such a weird character, such a weird idea. And you would think, like, Disney's not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, you would say, no, like, there's no way. I don't really see any other possibility. And if you watch the video later, I think you'll understand. You'll be like, oh, shit. Like, they might actually have to do that, which would be crazy. Thanks, Tracer. Appreciate you, man. Mr. Spaz World says, I much prefer Josh that loves Star Wars. Have a great day, brother. Long may it continue. Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I feel better. Like, here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but I have a couple of let's call them haters out there. And I think, the reality is, I can get pretty flagrant with the way I do streams, with the way I make tweets, and I'm engaged in a lot of ways in social, let's call it social discourse. Look, man, it is what it is. In a lot of ways, I've earned the haters, and that's a good thing and a bad thing. And yeah, so there's a lot of people that didn't like when I was down on Star Wars, in Kenobi, towards the end of Book of Boba Fett and Andor, etc. And I get it, right? Like, I totally get it. Like, you don't like when somebody's out there talking shit on the stuff that you enjoy or whatever. But, like, I've always just said, like, I'm just going to call it like I see it and try to keep it moving. And right now, dude, I genuinely love Ahsoka, and I'm having a great time, and I feel better about the content I'm making. Like, I didn't feel great about the content I was making around Andor and around, Kenobi. I stopped watching Andor, and I stopped making videos about it. I would talk about it occasionally and talk about it on Nerd Theory, but I stopped watching Andor because I didn't want to tune in every week to something I hated, and I didn't want to make videos every week about something I hated. That's not what I do. That's not what I try to do. But given where pop culture is at, mainly Marvel and Star Wars, given where we're at right now, like, dude, shit's rough. Like, there's a lot of bad stuff out there. And I can't just be positive about stuff that I think is dog doo-doo poo-poo. You understand? So where does that leave me? That leaves me in a spot where, look, maybe I said something you really didn't like. Maybe I really crapped on a show you liked. Maybe I liked something you thought was garbage. And the reality is, it's all your fault because you're all way too in your fucking feelings. Get off my nutsack. Shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Let's move on. Jay Firth says, how do you gamble/check coin? Can't wait for Unity. I think there's codes that you use in the chat. By the way, there's 3,000 more nerd coin. You know what? Let's do more. More! There you go. And then, yeah, you gamble. Like, do what the other people are doing. Jake says, I think swearing is fine. Look at what ESPN Disney is doing with Pat McAfee and his show. Bob Iger signed off on his show with swearing/controversy. Yeah, but they also told him no F-bombs. He's not supposed to drop F-bombs on the show. But, yeah, I think it's changing in some ways. I've tried today. You know what I mean? I tried. Chase says, my man, what's Thrawn and the Night Sister running from? I think it's something to do with Palps. I hope not, but we all know where this goes. Much love. Yeah, I think it's Abeloth, dude. As I'll put into the video later, I think it's Abeloth, which is like bananas, dude. Like, it is so crazy to think that they might actually do that. But the signs are there. Andrew says, you sound like Jerry Seinfeld when you get all worked up. Is that true? That's funny, man. Shout out to Seinfeld, man. Killing the game. All right, where are we at here? Meister says, I've watched every episode 3+ times. LOL. You know, as I was doing my research for the video for later today, I watched episode 2, a lot of it again, because there's those scenes between, like, guys, like, it's so crazy. I don't want to spoil the video, but, like, dude, in episode 2, it's Balin and Shin that find the place where the star map is at on Seagal. They bring Morgan there. The first thing Balin says, well, one of the first things is he's like, this is not the work of the Jedi. Who built this, basically? And she says, an ancient people from far away. And then he says Peridia. He name drops Peridia before she does. And he talks about the stories. And he tells Shin in that episode, towards the end, that we will have power like beyond what you've ever dreamed. I have it in my notes or something like that. Like power greater than you've ever dreamed of or something like that, right? So like he's been on this the whole time. And it's really cool. I'm having a great time watching it and rewatching it. I think the rewatch is going to be awesome. When it's all said and done, I'll do a full rewatch and it's pretty cool. Chillin says, I was watching Ahsoka with the subtitles on and it turns out those samurai-like raiders speak Nito. I can't decide how significant that is. Nerd Avengers for life. Take my money. They speak Nito. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that will be important. That's kind of interesting, man. Interesting. Check out the 2001 Indian film, Ahsoka. Okay, I will, bro. That sounds cool. That sounds cool. Benjamin says, I'm so ready for a Game of Thrones meets Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars lore film for Star Wars. I'm practically dying for it. Yeah, man. I do think that it's cool to find out that they've been working on that for a long time. Which, to me, by the way, I feel like Peridia is the setting of the Mangold film, if it still happens. Rom Tack Holster says, is the planet Peridia a play on words? Peridia is lost or lost in feminine Spanish. Well, it's interesting you mention feminine. But I don't know. It's perhaps a play on that for sure. Dave does a lot of that kind of fun stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised. There's all kind of mythology in Ahsoka just in general. A lot of Arthurian stuff. Some Zen stuff. Yeah. A lot of philosophy and ancient mythos. Sozin says, what if the power that Balin seeks is the power that even the great mothers are trying to escape from is Abeloth? Goes with the dark Elden Ring vibes and explains a power greater than their witchcraft. It does indeed, sir. I'm on that, man. That is the train that I am on. Darth Jar Jar says, I'm excited for Unity. I haven't been this excited for Star Wars in a long time. Can't wait for Tuesday. Same, man. I'm really excited for Unity. It's just so crazy. Like, we're like about to make this thing, and I'm hyped, man. Like, I think once y'all start seeing more of it, you're gonna be like, whoa. And we have a chance to do something really cool. Like, we have an opportunity, right? Because I was talking to some of my comic book friends. A lot of comic book people have to, if they're in the industry, it's like they need to get it ready for print. And it's more important that it's ready for the print than it's necessarily a great story, unfortunately. But even if you're in the indie scene, it's like you got to find the idea. You got to put out a lot of work. You got to sell. And so what's crazy about Unity is, like, I get to, like, meet myself and the team, get to sit there and make this thing phenomenal. Like, take the time that it needs, as opposed to being caught up in the rigmarole of the industry. We are funded, thanks to you guys. We get to now pour into this thing and make it, like, I want this to be like top-notch cartooning, like a incredible comic. So it's cool, man. I'm very grateful. I've been very grateful. This is cool. Chillin says, I barely swear in vids. I let it fly on my lives. That was my approach for sure, for a long time. But look, streams, more popular than ever, and we get clipped and et cetera, et cetera. So I just think I'm gonna try. Today was me trying. I don't think it was that bad, but yeah, I mean, we still had a good bit of swears. If I just can curb it like 30-40%, I think we're gonna be okay. Mr. Spazworld says, gets off Josh's nutsack and admits he's been too emotional. Have a good weekend. Hey, it's all good, man. Trust me, I get it. I'm not even that mad at it, but I'm just going to kind of tell it how it is, It's all good. It's all good. What's going on in the chat? Let's hang out like 5-10 minutes. What's going on? How y'all feeling? Anybody got cool plans for the weekend? What's going on? Bring up the Forbes Filoni article, damn it. What is the Forbes Filoni article? Why would Forbes write about Filoni? Thoughts on cast media drama? I mean, they seem like scumbags. Unfortunately, there's a lot of that out there. I've been taken for a ride a couple of different times in my career, and in some ways, it's made me a little less trusting. I don't really do as many collabs or work with as many brands anymore. So it's made me a little cold. But at the same time, like, look, it just sucks, man. But there's always exploitative people out there, unfortunately. It's like Shakespeare said, man. Love everybody, trust no one. Yeah. Not the $50 Magic Spoon cereal. I got to be honest with you, I have no idea if we ever got paid for Magic Spoon. But we only did like one spot for them. There's other companies that, like, I won't mention. But, yeah. Yeah. Josh, do you know any good comics in Erie other than Books Galore? No, Books Galore is the only game in town right now. When before I moved to Philly, there was a shop called Above and Beyond Comics, and man, I love that shop. No disrespect to Books Galore, because I patron them quite a bit, but yeah, my shop was Above and Beyond, and they were absolutely awesome. I'll tell you this though, if things continue to go the way they've been going for us, you might see another comic shop in Erie in the next couple of years. You know what I mean? You lived in the 215? I lived in Philly for like 6 years. Where are we going to meet up? In the New York City or New Jersey? It's in New Jersey. If you, oh, by the way, yeah, more and more people are signing up for the meetup in October. So if you want to come to the meetup, you got to get on that part of the Discord, and you got to fill out the thing to RSVP. We've got a Google Sheet, a Google Doc sheet thing. Yeah. Logan says, any chance you do a stream for the creator after you see if you like it? I'm so hyped for it and want more discourse around it. Seems it deserves it. I'm going to definitely go see it next week. I might see it on Friday, though, because I might have to wait until we have the nanny here. So I might not see it until after the stream on Friday. But I'll talk about it on the stream on Monday for sure. For sure. I'm excited for it. How do we honestly think a Filoni movie would do in theaters? Box office-wise, I'm hopeful but worried, if I'm honest. Love his work in Ahsoka. Well, here's the thing. Okay, so there's multiple things going on here. I believe that when Kathy got... Like, let me ask you guys a question. I got a question for you, Mr. Spazworld. When it was announced that J.J. Abrams was going to be the director of the new Star Wars movie, were you excited? Yes or no? Put it into the chat. When it was first announced that J.J. Abrams was going to be the guy, were you excited? Yes or no? Aw, dude, you all are lying. You are lying. Everybody was excited. Oh, you guys are crazy. The JJ hate train didn't happen until later. Now, there were people that didn't like JJ for sure. I'm not saying that you guys didn't exist, but the vast majority of people were super excited that JJ Abrams was going to be the guy. Okay? But years later, I don't think many people were excited that he was coming back for 9. Okay? I also think that basically nobody's excited for his name to pop up on basically anything now. I mean, he hasn't really done much. You know what I mean? And his name recognition, his brand is way, way down. When Rian Johnson got The Last Jedi, he was relatively unknown, guys. You know what I mean? People were excited that knew his work, but like nobody like fully really knew dude. He was literally just kind of like some guy, you know? Kathy and Lucasfilm were trying to go after fresh young talent, and you know, that's why you get your Lord and Miller on Kenobi, Josh Trank on Boba, and that shit didn't work out, in case you didn't notice. So here's what I'm saying. Filoni Star Wars movie, I think it makes the most sense now than ever before. Might not have worked back when JJ got TFA. It might not have worked, you know, even in the couple of years following Rise. I think it's going to work now. You know what I mean? I think it's the move now. Because I don't, frankly, think it matters who you put in the director's chair of a Star Wars movie. I feel like a Star Wars movie now has to overcome a lot of baggage. I think Dave is a good person to do that. I don't think Charmine is. We'll see. Mangold could. Dodd says, Josh, have you seen the article about Westworld being rebooted as a major feature film in theaters? I just put out an article in general Discord. I didn't hear that, but here's what I'm going to say. Kind of a hot take. Westworld has one good season. And the second season's cool, but like, especially when you look at what happened from there, dude, Westworld is not a good show. Maybe the best first season of television ever. It's like phenomenal, but it's just never gets there. I would much prefer Raised by Wolves. I think Raised by Wolves is legitimately a better show than Westworld. And I can't believe that it got canceled. That's crazy. Thrawn's Clone says, do you think Balin gets betrayed by Thrawn? Shin joins Ahsoka, and she becomes the son for Mara Jade in Dave's version of Heir to the Empire. No, but that is possible. I mean, I do think Balin could get betrayed by Thrawn. But Balin might also betray Thrawn. Hey, look, I'm going to save it for the video. But if what I think is going to happen happens, y'all going to be real mad at what Dave does to Shin Batty. That's all I'm saying. Y'all going to be real mad about what Dave does to Shin Batty. Yeah. Shin Batty! Forbes article on Dave in the Discord? Okay. Where's that? Oh, fine. Just give Star Wars to Dave Filoni already? Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. agree with that. I'm not going to go into the article, though. All right, guys, I got to get on out of here. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Yeah, so Unity surveys go out later today. Next week, first sort of town hall where I want to talk to the collectors. There's a lot of stuff I want to go over and some ideas I want to share with you guys. Yeah, video later today, videos over the weekend. I think that's everything from me. Appreciate you guys. Much love. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Oh, man. Good week. That was a good week, man. I appreciate you guys. We had some fun streams, man. Got Unity funded. That was crazy. Ahsoka episode 6, mind-blowing. Strikes might be over. Let's go. Let's go. Much love. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you enjoy the rest of your day. Video dropping later. Videos over the weekend. We'll be back at it on Monday. Open up your third eye. And wash out that stinky butt. Oh!